What is going on, everyone? It is episode 34 of the Memes, Dreams, and 32 Teams podcast. We are back. It has been a little bit of a hiatus. Had to take some care of some life things, but we are back. We're ready to go. Your two beautiful hosts. My name is Justin.
I'm Eddie.
And we're going to basically do something that we didn't get to do last year because we didn't last year. I mean, we did the podcast last year or our first year. But we're going to go through the divisions one after another on each episode, and we're going to review them, give our take, give any updates that are happening with the teams, and basically kind of give a sneak peek into the season and what we think with these teams. But one thing I do want to touch on, I guess there's two things that have happened recently that are up to date. The first thing is the Rams lose their running back in Cam Akers. Tore his Achilles, out for the season.
When did that happen?
Today.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's not great.
They're left to, looks like, Darrell Henderson Jr. Is a third-year running back, and then Xavier Jones, a second-year running back, a couple of rookies.
I think they'll probably try to grab somebody before the season starts, I would imagine.
That is sort of what I'm thinking, is that they're going to look to trade for someone.
Because Matthew Stafford coming in, they have a couple weapons at wide receiver. This would be not a good season to not have a running back.
You know who I think?
I actually don't know who's available.
You know who I think they will sign?
Who's that?
Adrian Peterson.
I can see that.
There's rumors that Todd Gurley will end up back in Los Angeles.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was thinking at first. But they weren't the hugest fan of Todd Gurley.
I mean, I don't know why.
Once he dropped off.
Yeah, that's probably a fair way to put it.
Because, everybody loved him for sure starting out. Because he had a good 2-3 years there and then nothing pretty much. But then you always got to remember he's got concerns with his ACLs.
Mm-hmm.
ACLs. I feel like he tore them both.
I mean, he tore at least one. I don't know about both.
Yeah. So that's always an issue.
But I mean, I think that's a huge hit. This team, I think, before the injury, was poised to make a playoff run. Now I don't know what the running situation is going to look like now without Cam Akers. So we'll see what if they sign someone or if they believe in who they have, on board.
I don't know what their money situation is, but a couple running backs that are out there: Kenyon Drake, Chris Carson, Mike Davis.
I think
Leonard
Kenyon
Fournette.
Drake got signed to the Raiders.
Okay. So now I'm looking at that. I may be looking at an old list because I think all these guys are signed.
Yeah, he did get signed to the Raiders.
Because Leonard Fournette's a buck. Yeah. So disregard what I just said.
So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what they decide. Like either they sign someone in free agency. I don't think they'll trade for someone. It just doesn't make sense. Because I think Adrian Peterson or Todd Gurley are both serviceable running backs to fill the spot.
Yeah.
So I think they either take either of those or they do the PR move and they say, we believe in the guys we have in the locker room.
I mean, you're talking about you have Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Deshaun Jackson, who is older, but he's still Deshaun Jackson, Robert Woods, Tyler Higbee. I mean, it's not like they don't have weapons.
Yeah.
And if you're up against a team who you are just torching, throwing the ball, they're not going to expect to run all the time. That's the whole reason why you need both sides both types of offense, running and passing.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. I feel bad because I don't think Stafford, to my knowledge, has ever had like a true running back. And then the 1 year that Cam Akers is supposed to be really explosive, I mean, he gets injured and it feels like Matthew Stafford's right back to where he's always been. So we'll see where that situation ends up. And the other one that I want to talk about is it should be quick. I mean, we've talked about it before, but Aaron Rodgers, sources say, that his extension offer that was offered to him would have made him the highest paid quarterback and the player in the league.
But like we said before, it's not a money thing.
And I mean, he even said that it's not about Jordan Love either. So there's it's something way up. It's not coaching, it's not players, it's not money, it's
It's organizational.
something has to change. And do you if you were, let's say, you're right, you are the owner of the Packers. This will be the last thing. I'll ask you this question. We'll move on. You're the owner of the Packers, and you have Aaron Rodgers. You have this exact situation. Do you fire someone in the organization to keep Aaron Rodgers there, or do you say, you know what, we'll spend our money on someone else? What is your decision?
Um, I'm gonna ride Aaron Rodgers until he's done. I'm gonna do what it takes to keep Aaron Rodgers if I can. That's not a player you want to give up. He is equivalent to Tom Brady, where he brings championships, he brings success. Look at the team they had last year, and they still put up 12, 13 wins.
They were the number one
So
seed in the NFC, so
there you go. So I'm doing whatever I can to keep Rodgers until he doesn't want to play football anymore. Not play football in Green Bay, but football in general.
I think something that's very understated in this situation that the Packers will lose if Rodgers leaves is you won't have a Favre to Rodgers transition with Rodgers to Love.
Yeah.
That if Rodgers stays for a couple more years, right, he can teach Jordan Love whatever he needs to. You will it will be very annoying to watch the Packers continue to be an excellent team just because they've been able to transition quarterbacks. But I mean, I think if he doesn't, I don't think he's like, I'm going to say it like I said before, I don't think he plays this year, and I don't see him playing for the Packers ever again. That's my opinion.
Unfortunately, yeah. But then the way I see it is Rodgers doesn't come back. It's going to be a very similar situation to what New England's going through right now, where they lost their Hall of Fame guy, and now they're trying to recover with whatever they can get. The difference here is they have Jordan Love, who's been with the organization for a year.
I mean, maybe Jordan Love is the next generational talent, and he just
If,
understands it, right? Who
if
knows?
he's half of what Aaron Rodgers is, they're going to be just fine.
I mean, maybe not Super Bowl worthy, but definitely playoff.
Playoffs.
Yep. So, I mean, we'll see where that ends up, but that is not the focus of this episode. This episode we're going to focus on discussing the AFC East, and that is going to be the first division of our division review series here. So we will open it up with the underwhelming New York Jets. I personally think they had one of the best off seasons across the NFL.
Considering where they were at the end of last year at 2-14, it's hard to do worse than to look worse without seeing anything yet.
Yep.
But I would agree they did a lot of the right moves this offseason.
If you, I
They
mean, if
had a
you,
really strong draft
it's
for
the
starters.
thing is like not just the players they got, but switching head coaches to Robert Sala. It's his first year as a head coach. I get it. A lot of people probably don't like that, but he's been a proven defensive coordinator in the NFL. So he's proven that he can coach and teach players well enough to be successful. So now he just has to do it on a larger scale.
Yeah, and
Um,
we keep on talking about sucks that they no longer have Sam Darnold,
but
but they got Zach Wilson to second pick overall. So I don't think Zach Wilson is who Sam Darnold was or is. I guess he's still who we think he is. But it's his team. It's him and new head coach. plus new receiver they got in the second round, Elijah Moore, plus new running back Michael Carter, should they choose to use him.
They got 3 wide receivers across the draft and free agency that I think are going to be a solid core to build off of, right? Um, they already have like Jamison Crowder, so like they have people on the roster who can excel, but going Corey Davis and Keelan Cole in free agency, and then Elijah Moore in the draft, and then taking Elijah Vera Tucker, the 14th pick. I don't know. They did what they needed to do to help Zach Wilson be comfortable.
I
They
agree.
they just need to continue to build off of whatever their focus is.
They got him a little bit of protection. They got him some weapons that he can do something with. That at it's a very good situation Zach Wilson's coming into. And even more working in his favor, if he gets 3 wins this year, which is not a big ask, he has a better season than what they did last season.
I mean,
It's
like
three
let's
three wins would still not be a successful season, but it's better than what they had.
so they play looking at some of their games, right? They play Denver in week 3. I mean, they play Carolina in week 1. They could come out like who knows? Maybe this
We
Robert
don't know
Saleh
Carolina.
maybe this Robert Saleh defense that he pulls out of this Jets roster is gonna give us glimpses of what the 49ers defense used to look like, right?
Which would be very scary for anybody else on this schedule.
Yeah. So like Carolina could be a win. New England, we think Cam Newton's playing there. I mean, or Mac Jones or whoever was throwing in some random practice better than Cam Newton. I mean, it could be anyone. Then they play Denver, which I think they could also win. Tennessee, Atlanta, they lose. Then they go to New England. They could win
Again,
again.
toss up.
Then they play Cincinnati. I hope Joe Burrow is fully healthy this season.
Yes.
It sucks to watch him get injured. Then they play Indy, loss, Buffalo, loss, Miami, loss, Houston. We have no idea what's going. Like, there's so many just random games in this season for them that are like, we don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So
But a quick once over, 6 wins, I feel like is not out of the question.
I would say 6 is probably where they will end up, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
We'll say 5 or 6 is I think is kind of their realm of possibility, which for a lot of teams not good, and it probably I mean not probably it's definitely not where they want to be.
No.
But going from 2-14 last season, 5 or 6 wins is a step in the right direction. It just needs to be built on.
Yeah. And I mean, say they do go 5-17 games, 5-12 this year.
Oh yeah,
Say they do go 5-12 this year, that give them one more year to gel, they could end up being 8-9 the next year and fighting for a playoff spot.
yeah. I mean,
It's not a bad situation. They
I
have a
think
huge mountain to climb to get where they need to be still, just because a bunch of their guys are young and none of these guys have played together.
I
But
think the biggest question mark, which I'm sure is for a lot of people, is Zach Wilson NFL ready?
we had our questions about that when he was drafted.
I mean, we know how I feel about quarterbacks being drafted. I don't have to go down that rabbit hole again for everyone. So I don't know.
They're going to be an interesting team to watch. I hear there's that word again. I know, but they are going to be. I feel like they're going to be one of the teams that are just going to be a sleeper all year. They're not going to do anything crazy. They're not going to do anything horrible. They're just going to have a real steady. We're a new team. We're just trying to get our footing
I
kind
wonder
of season.
whose season they ruin. I'm gonna say it that way. Who toward the end of the season
Ooh,
is looking at the Jets thinking, okay, this should be an easy win, and we win that game, then we win week 16 or whatever, and we clinch, right? I wonder what team that's gonna be that the Jets end up beating late in the season that ruins the playoffs for that team. Like
I'm going. That's good. That's a good one.
I
I'd have to
mean,
go either Saints or Bills. Just Bills is going to be a tall order for them to do something, but that's at the end of the season. They're going to figure something out by then, hopefully. And it's a division game. Division games are always, as much as you want to say, oh, yeah, they got it. That's never the case with division games.
the division opponents. I think it's. I was gonna say it's. I feel like it's understated, but I mean, I feel like everyone talks about it. That division games, no matter how good or bad a team, like you said, they are always a toss up, and it doesn't matter to what division you're in, what year it is. Like when the Lions went 0-16, I'm sure the division games were not. I don't fully remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure the division games weren't just like 60-0. Like
No.
so, division games are going to be the hardest, and I mean, I see probably Miami. I mean, that's the game week 15. They go to Miami on December 19th. That game, it says to be determined. I wonder if that's the London
Flags.
the London game.
No, the London games, I believe, are week 5 and 6.
I wonder if it's not the London game.
They're early. Yeah, they're definitely earlier in the season.
Oh,
No,
they
they're doing,
probably
they
it
mentioned
is
something.
it is week 5. They have an 8:30 a.m. game, and I was confused on why it's so early.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, against Atlanta. Woo.
but yeah, I think Miami week 15 is probably the key game, not for the Jets season, but for ruining Miami's season.
I think we're in
Um,
agreement. Jets aren't making the playoffs this year.
I don't think so, just
I give
because
them like a 10% chance.
if you look at the standings from last season for the AFC, the 7th seed, forgot they were 7 seeds last season. The 7th seed entered the
Yeah.
playoffs at 11-5. So let's just assume let's round down, and a 10-7 team makes the playoffs for the AFC this year, right? And on the NFC, the lowest was, I was gonna say 7-9 Washington, but that, you know,
Wild card.
we'll
Always
say
wild card.
8-8. I'm gonna say 10 wins again. So we're gonna this for all these episodes, we're gonna say that 10-7 is playoff land.
10 wins. Okay.
Obviously, if so many teams end up at 10 wins, someone's not gonna make it. But I would say if you get at least 10 wins this season, you have a high probability of making playoffs. As you should every season, let's be honest.
As you should, but that's not how it always works out.
So, do we think the Jets get 10 wins? No.
No.
It is what it is, right? Like,
If all of those games that we just talked about a minute ago do go in the Jets' favor, even then it's going to be maybe.
I mean, I would say on the high end, like I think 5-6 is like a respectable guess, but I think like high end,
8.
the Jets 8. Like that's exactly what I was gonna say. 8 is like the Jets figure it out, but don't figure it out. Like
Yeah.
they're not gonna figure it out and go like 12-5. Like that's not this Jets team, or is it? You know what I mean? Like
looking at their schedule, and we'll move on to next team. Looking at the Jets' schedule, say they figure something out around week 8 or 9, I could see them possibly, if they figure it out and they're gelling and everything is working in their favor, they could win 7, 6 of their last 7 or 8 games.
oh, you're being very generous.
Yeah,
I was gonna say 5.
even 5.
If they
Say
win 5, I
one or
mean,
2 before that.
that they could end at 8-9 or 9-8 right there.
Yeah,
So
but
I don't know. We'll see.
I
I
give
mean,
them an A.
like I said at the beginning of talking about the Jets, I think they had the best offseason. Maybe not the best, but one of the best off seasons out of any team this season.
Probably the best in the division, though.
Definitely the best in the division. And it's a step in the right direction. And the biggest question mark is Zach Wilson NFL ready? And the second question mark I have is how good will the defense be under the new head coach?
Fortunately, I think we'll get both of our answers pretty quickly.
I would
once the season
agree.
starts.
Yeah, I agree. But to the team that they play in week 2, we're going to jump to the New England Patriots, the Super Bowl winning under Belichick 7,000 times. It's what it's felt like. They didn't win last year, I
6?
know.
I was about to say they Tom Brady did, but he was on a different
I
team. He
know.
had a different color.
I mean, they got the next Tom Brady, as they want to claim, with Mac Jones.
If Mac Jones ends up being it, by all means, go for it. I'll say it again, like I said it before. Alabama quarterbacks do not make it in the NFL. Alabama is not a quarterback school.
Oh, why is that? Like is it just because the competition they play? Like they go through
I,
college. I mean, these Alabama quarterbacks put up ridiculous numbers.
I think it has a lot to do with their combined 2,000-pound offensive line that they're always behind. They do so well because, like we've said before, they have an amazing offensive line. So that gives the quarterback that much more time to do something. They can make an average quarterback look great because they do have that extra second or two. I think that's what it is.
So you're saying to make a Alabama quarterback successful in the NFL, you just need to build the biggest and strongest offensive line.
Any quarterback. You
Mm,
put a brick wall in
That's
front of
fair.
him, he'll figure it out.
That's fair.
But I think that's why Alabama quarterbacks are so good, and then they come into the NFL and realize, "Oh, I don't have my brick wall in front of me, and the guys that are trying to kill me are actually really good at what they do."
that's fair.
But
The
maybe Mac Jones will break that mold.
the thing that I dislike most about the Patriots offseason, and it's dislike from my point of view, not about like making them better, is that they went and got Jonu Smith and Hunter Henry, because it reminds me a lot of when they were really successful with Gronkowski and Hernandez, and just running a two tight end, really beefy, just weird formation.
And maybe that's what they're trying to replicate, that Alabama style offensive line then, bringing an extra blocker in on every play.
I mean, possibly.
It's not a terrible idea. This is assuming, and again, it doesn't matter what quarterback's back there if you have a brick wall offensive line, but this is assuming Mac Jones is quarterback. They also have Cam Newton. They also have Jared Stidham. They also have Brian Hoyer, who won't start more than likely, but he's there too.
We've discussed this before, right? But
hmm
how long do you think Cam Newton plays this season?
Um, if
Because
he
I think
throws,
we're
if
under
he's
the assumption.
positive,
Go ahead.
if he's 1-to-1 or better in touchdown interception ratio, whenever he falls below that, I think is whenever we won't see him anymore.
So we're
If
under
he
the
goes
assumption,
0 and
right?
2,
He doesn't finish the season.
yeah, I don't think Cam Newton will play a full 17 games.
I
He could do
think
first half, Mac Jones second half, but I don't see Cam Newton playing 17 games.
this is how I see it going, and just looked at the schedule. So I'm a little biased in how this goes, but when I say it, it'll make sense.
Go
So
for it.
week 6 they play Dallas,
hmm
and I see Dallas just not like destroying them, but like making Cam Newton look a
Comfortably
little
winning.
silly, right?
Yeah,
Then they
comfortably
go to the
winning. Yeah.
Jets. They barely win over the Jets, and Cam Newton looks very shaky. Then in week 8, they go to Los Angeles with the Chargers, and they get embarrassed. I mean, like 42-7 or something, right?
Should something like that happen, I don't think Cam Newton plays to halftime in week 8.
And I'm just like in week 8 or after week 8 is when they just go, all right, well, we played our two, and I don't see them winning week 4 against Tampa. Like, so
No,
whatever. But like, that was just like a really bad stretch, and it's like, you know what? It's time. We got to switch it. And that's when Mac Jones comes in. But it's a tough this stretch. I didn't even look at this. Mac Jones comes in right after Los Angeles. Let's say he comes in right week 9.
it doesn't get it any
He
easier.
plays Carolina. Okay, we got an easy game to step into.
"Quote unquote" cupcake to get him started.
Then we play Cleveland. Yikes.
Good
Atlanta.
luck.
Hit or miss.
Hopefully,
Tennessee. Good luck. Buffalo. Good luck. Indy. Good luck. Buffalo. Good luck.
yeah, their
Jacksonville.
second
Oh,
half of the
you could
season.
win that one. Miami. Good luck.
Okay, so we'll do the same thing we said with the Jets. If those question mark games go in their favor, all of them, that gives them Atlanta, Jacksonville,
in
Miami.
in the last 8, I don't think
Yeah,
they beat Miami. I'll talk about them in a second, obviously, but I think Miami is trending to be one of those offenses that is way too overpowered that you have to sort of match. And I don't think
Yeah.
Mac Jones, Cam Newton, no matter who the Patriots put at quarterback, I do not think that they are going to be one of those teams that puts up 40 plus points a game. They're not even close to that.
No, I don't think there's any debate on that.
I think the
This
Patriots are
whole
more of like
division,
a 30, they scored, let's say 31 points, like 25 to 30 points a game, and they're possessing the ball 60 minutes in a game. They're possessing it 35 minutes, right? Like 35 to 40 minutes. That's the offense or the style that I see the Patriots wanting to do.
yeah,
If they do it, it's another question.
it's good on them
But that's what I
if they
see
can figure
them
it out.
wanting to do. So an offense like Miami, Cleveland, Atlanta,
Long drives.
Buffalo, Tennessee, teams that can either eat the clock or put up a lot of points. Those are the teams that I think they'll struggle against.
Yeah,
So
they're going to be. I'm trying not to say interesting so much.
it's a very interesting word.
It is, but again, with this team, they've just got again so many question marks. With the biggest one being who is going to be their man this year. We assume they're going to start with Cam Newton. How long is he going to be the guy? And then are we going to have the same situation going into next season? Because say Cam Newton flops after 3 weeks, they bring in Mac Jones. He shows a little promise and then flops. Do they go back to Cam Newton for that week 8, week 9 game? Do they go pull Jared Stidham? Because Belichick's not just going to sit on his ass and hope things work in his favor. He's going to go out there and make it work in his favor, whether it's through drafting or not drafting, picking somebody up off the free agency or making a trade or putting some money in somebody's pocket, however that may mean, he'll figure something out.
I mean, you say that, but last year we saw Cam Newton flailing around the field and kind of just kept playing, even though he
Yeah.
shouldn't
Well,
have.
who was their backup last year?
I mean, dude, the way Cam Newton was playing last year, they could put anyone out there.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I mean, I see what you're saying. That like Belichick will try something. He's now fortunate that he has someone else at his disposal to throw in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It,
What could happen too is they go through preseason, right? And preseason sometimes players earn their jobs, sometimes players lose their jobs. So maybe Mac Jones in preseason just throws like in 3
5
games.
touchdowns, 1 interception
I was gonna say
in
more than
his
that. What
half.
maybe he throws like 9 touchdowns.
Well, generally they do half games. They'll do 2 quarters a game. But even still, to your point, yeah, if he does go like 9-2, 9-3, I'd put him in.
Yeah, does Mac Jones start week 1? And then the whole season looks completely different. Because is Mac Jones the real deal? If he is, then I mean this team like they could beat the Jets, they could beat New Orleans, they could beat Houston, they could beat the Jets again, Carolina. I'm sorry, but they could probably beat Atlanta if Mac Jones is the real deal.
Yes.
They could beat
I can't dispute that.
Jacksonville. They could probably split with Miami. That's 8 that's 8 wins right there.
I
So
feel like the Patriots are going to be one of those teams where they are either going to go 12-5, sorry, 12-6 or 6-12.
no, you're right. 12-5.
No, I was right. 12-5. Yeah, 12-5 or 5-12, and there's not really much in between
I don't think
because
I'm
they're
ever
either
going to
going
get
to.
used to the 17 game season, by the way.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. I'm more interested. Sidebar. I'm more interested in the 17 game season because now all those tiebreakers where the Browns need 8 scenarios to work out in their favor. There's going to be one more week to that.
I cannot wait. I love tiebreaker weeks. They're my
Week
favorite.
16 and 17 in the past have always been some of the most interesting weeks
Week
because there's
17 where
some
it's
teams
like
that are
this team
just
needs to
giving up
win, 7 teams need to lose, and then this team needs to tie. And you're like, okay, well,
or win by less than 2.
yeah. And you're like, what? Okay. So
And if
I
it
don't
gets
know.
all the way down to it, it's a coin flip.
I think the Patriots win. I'm gonna say the same thing as the Jets. I think 5 or 6 games is
I'm going
honestly
with what did I just say? 12-5 or 5-12? Yeah.
very generous. I think 5 or
Well,
6.
either they figure it out and they just start running through teams, and Tampa is going to be a tough one to beat. Like you said, Dallas is going to be a tough one to beat. I feel like Cleveland and Tennessee are going to be tough ones to beat. Buffalo is going to be a tough one to beat.
They played Buffalo twice too, which doesn't
Yeah.
help them.
So either they figure it out and figure it out pretty quick because they play Tampa week 4 and then Dallas week 6 and then their whole second half of the season,
Yeah,
or
they
they
have
just
one of the toughest second halves, I think, of any team.
yeah.
So I don't know, but with a team that I said they'd play twice, we'll move on to the Buffalo Bills, who
Who probably will win the division.
I don't. They went 13-3. I just don't see. I don't see them falling off.
They
Like
really didn't do much to change their team. I mean,
d-
also outside of the draft, of course.
they did a great
But
job in grabbing a great quarterback as their backup, the best. I'm just kidding, Mitch Trubisky,
undisputed,
the best quarterback ever. No, I I
possibly
think
the biggest flop of a first round quarterback.
I think this is the Bills' division to lose.
Agreed.
Um, Picking up Emmanuel Sanders, I think, is a smart move because it gives another weapon, and now Cole Beasley can truly be the slot wide receiver.
Which
Uh,
he is a slot wide
yeah,
receiver. That's
um,
just where that's his bread and butter.
I think slot receivers excel when teams excel, right? So you bring in a slot receiver like Cole Beasley, who's really good, but if you don't have a number 2 wide receiver, I don't think they had last year, then most teams have 2 good cornerbacks, right? They have 2 good cornerbacks, and then the third is kind of iffy. So if you have Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley, that's 1-2, and then you can have your iffy cornerback playing someone who is an iffy wide receiver. So it's an even
Yes,
match. But now bringing in Emmanuel Sanders, now the team,
kind of forces hands.
yep, they have to decide, where do we put our 1 and 2? Do we do Stephon Diggs and Emmanuel Sanders? Well, now Cole Beasley is going to make a linebacker look like a fool. Oh, well, let's put our
I,
2 on Cole Beasley. Okay, well, then Emmanuel Sanders is going to run past this cornerback.
my only problem with the Emmanuel Sanders pick is he is kind of up there in age, 34. So he is a little bit slower. He is a little bit more worn down, but he brings this veteran mentality and veteran experience to this team, which everyone in the wide receiver core and more probably actually is gonna benefit from. So if in your scenario, I'm the other team with my 2 all-star Pro Bowl cornerbacks and my third not so confident in safety, I'm putting it on Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley every play. Not that Emmanuel Sanders can't still be the guy that we know he is. I'm would be more scared of Stephon Diggs ripping off a 70-yard catch or Cole Beasley breaking
The
like
ankles of some rando guy in the field and then breaking a
yeah,
70-yard touch.
yeah.
That's
Thank
fair.
you. I lost.
You're good. I would do the same thing if I was a defense. But this team, Josh Allen was on MVP pace. He was
He
in the
threw
running
for how many?
a lot.
I want to say like 2,700 or so.
But definitely more than that.
47 is what I was thinking. He threw
40,
for 45 last year.
4,500, yeah.
Yeah.
4,500.
45, 37, and 10.
Exactly what I was about to just. Yeah, so Josh Allen really showed out last year. So I have no doubt with how he played last year that he's going to do it again.
Oh, I don't see any reason why he would regress. Now, that is a very high bar to match, but I don't think he'll have an issue.
The real question is, because I think with this team, with them winning the division, is how far do they go? Right? They lost to Kansas City
AFC, well, or in the
championship.
conference, yeah.
They lost 38-24. And to be honest, maybe not the same score, but I see the same 2 teams meeting there again.
I agree. I couldn't tell you what the outcome's going to be at this point, but agreed, the Bills and the Chiefs are the top two in the AFC right now.
So I guess the real question is when we look at this team, right, is not how many wins, it's not do they win the division. My only question for you and this team is do you think they can stop slash beat the Kansas City Chiefs?
I mean,
Because that is the only thing that Josh Allen has not done to this AFC.
well, I'll answer that, then have a rebuttal. It's going to be tough. I think they can do it. People are Kansas City has got to crack at some point. Then again, this is probably the same mentality that people had about the Patriots before they won 14 division championships in 16 years.
Yep. The
So
thing,
I don't think Patrick Mahomes is the weak link. I don't think Andy Reid leading the team is the weak link. I don't think their offense is the weak link.
well, hold on before you. We'll talk about the Chiefs on another episode,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they do not have any of the same starting linemen that they had last year. Obviously, going into the Super Bowl, players were injured. They looked. I don't even want to say okay because Mahomes had to throw a ball while he was completely horizontal. So I don't.
They were subpar.
Yeah. So the real question mark for the Chiefs that we'll discuss later on is their offensive line, their new one, whoever it is. I haven't looked at it, but whoever the new offensive line is it gonna be strong enough to make sure Mahomes is not running for his life? And I
You
think
can only hope.
with the Bills drafting 2 defensive linemen in round 1 and then round 2, it seems like they know what they need to work on because they knew they didn't need to do anything crazy on offense. Everything was already working. They were successful there. Most teams, I would say, in the AFC right now are just looking at, they're like, we can score points. We'll figure that part out. But how do we
Yeah.
stop Mahomes? We can stop Mahomes. We can stop anyone, which I think is a true statement, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Mahomes is the simulation that everyone's going through their head at this point. Either that or this new Tennessee team.
Mahomes reminds me of Madden 04, Michael Vick,
Oh God,
where
the cheat code.
you would just run and then score a bunch of points. I mean, that was literally it. And I feel like Mahomes, I mean, he can throw the ball, I think, what is it, 180 yards?
Something like that. I
He
mean,
could,
Kansas City is literally the team that nobody wants to play against on Madden or in the NFL for that
yeah.
matter. I say Madden just because they're probably
Mhm.
I don't know off the top of my head. They're probably a mid 90s, low 90s overall, which there is no teams in the 90s overall on Madden for those who don't know.
Mahomes is sort of a cheat code, by the way, in Madden. I'll just let you know.
Do you know off the top of your head what his X factor is?
I do
I
not.
think it's something to do with 3 completions over 50 yards, but I don't know.
No,
I'm gonna look it up because I'm curious real
it's
quick.
much weaker than that, if I remember correctly. It is a cheat code because you send. This is a sidebar for everyone listening. But for my Madden fans, you'll understand this pain. You basically send Tyreek Hill on a streak route. He gets by the
That's right.
cornerback, and then you just lob it with Mahomes. But Mahomes can throw the ball 100 yards. So no matter where Tyreek Hill is, he will always lead him with the lob, which means it's always a touchdown. It is one of the most annoying things I've ever watched.
So you keep on praising his arm strength. His X factor in Madden is called Bazooka.
Yep.
Complete it triggers is one completed pass of 30 plus yards in the air, and then his max throwing distance is increased by 15 yards to 80 yards total.
Yep.
So exactly what you said. You hit that one streak on Tyreek Hill, and then it's game over.
See, it's funny because like that's a video game, right? And you're like,
But
haha.
also kind of in real life.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill just kind of runs, and Mahomes is like, haha, throw, haha, touchdown. We do the thing, Super Bowl, crazy. That's the Chiefs in
Pretty
a
much,
nutshell.
yeah.
So
Pretty much.
the Bills. Let's get back to the Bills. Let's bring it back in.
Chiefs later.
The Bills. I just again like my only question with this team is, can they beat the Chiefs? That is the only thing that Josh Allen has not done in the current state of the NFL, that is the only thing Josh Allen hasn't done. Obviously, he hasn't gone to a
So
Super Bowl and won a Super Bowl, but
he's young.
everything that he has done in his very long 2-year career,
Feels that way.
the only thing he has not done is beat Mahomes.
Yeah.
Everything else he's done. But like if he beats Mahomes, if he can beat Mahomes, which I'm assuming the only time he will face them, unless they play this season. I need to double check.
They do. Week 5.
Week 5. Well, I mean,
Sunday Night Football.
in Kansas City. So the only time that he has a chance of beating here's the thing, is they're going to play in Kansas City no matter what.
Yeah.
Because they're going to play in Kansas City here, and I don't think they'll win. Then when they get to the playoffs, they're going to play in Kansas City again.
And be the lower seed. Well, yeah, they'll be the lower than the Chiefs. That's just unfortunate.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. Do you see this possibly being the next AFC head-to-head matchup that everyone looks for?
Please.
The days of Roethlisberger and Manning, or Brady and Manning, or
Please.
I feel like there were a bunch of them in the AFC for a while.
I mean, Philip Rivers was around for a long time. He did not much playoff experience.
The matchups were always fun.
Yeah. I mean, like, I could see Allen, Mahomes, and this is one that not a lot of people, I would say, would agree with me on, but I would say Mayfield.
If he could figure out how to be consistent, yes.
Again,
not talking about them though.
But outside of those, those are like the 3 that I see being like the next Manning, Brady,
AFC
Roethlisberger. I was trying to think of AFC. I almost said Breeze, and I almost said Rodgers twice.
I said Breeze and Rodgers in my head before I said that last thing. So,
yeah. So I don't know. I think my only question mark for the season, like I said, is can the Bills beat the Chiefs? That's it. If they can beat the Chiefs, I think they can win the Super Bowl. Like I'm gonna be straight to the point. If they can beat the Chiefs, they can win the Super Bowl.
You think if they beat the Chiefs, they can take down Tampa?
Yes.
Or whoever the fortunate NFC opponent is to beat Tampa?
Yes. 100%. I think the Bills are a Super Bowl caliber team, but the Chiefs, let me phrase that. Mahomes is above a Super Bowl talent.
He
what
brings
is
whatever team.
What is above Super Bowl talent? Would that be video game talent?
Haha.
Right? Because that would be like out of this world, haha, right? That would say that's Mahomes. He is video game cheat code talent.
The good thing, well, maybe not good thing, but the Bills get to play the Chiefs, like we had mentioned, and they also play Tampa Bay this year. Both away games, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I mean, maybe that helps them, right?
Maybe they're a road team. And if that's the case, then they're going to burn through the playoffs.
I was like looking at last season. They went 13-3. They lost 3 games, 2 on the road and 1 at home. So like 7-1, 6-2, not one of the other.
So they're a good team overall.
They just win, you know?
Yeah.
Like what teams should do.
You said 13-3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see them repeating. Well, I guess 14-3 would be.
However, 13 give or take, yes. Because Chiefs, Titans, Buccaneers, and maybe a trap game somewhere.
You know, they will win one of those 3 games, and they will lose.
I can tell you which one though.
They will lose somewhere else. Because that's usually how it goes, right? Teams will have, let's say, 3 games that are like, this is, a game that could go either way.
And
teams of this caliber,
stupid.
Right?
It'll be something dumb.
They'll be, let's say they beat Tennessee, and then they'll lose to like New Orleans, and you're like, what?
Yeah, I was gonna say they're gonna come off their bye week and lose to Miami, which wouldn't be. That wouldn't be a surprising one. It would be because I think they should beat them, but Miami, like you had mentioned earlier, and like we'll talk about here in a minute, Miami is a good team.
Yep. So, I mean, before we jump into Miami, I mean, do you disagree or agree with me that the only question mark for this team is can they beat the Chiefs? because I don't, like I said before, they're gonna win the division. They're gonna get 12 plus, 13 plus wins. The only question mark to me on the AFC side is, can they beat the Chiefs? That's it. That's all. The only thing I have.
I feel like with this team, if you said they were a top 3 team in the AFC, and you said they were third in the AFC, second in the AFC, first in the AFC, I don't think I could disagree with any of that. Third, definitely, definitely, probably a solid second. Kansas City being first, can they beat them? We'll find out week 5. That's just going to be a tough.
Oh
They're a
man.
good team. Kansas City's a good team. That's
Yep.
all there is to it.
I mean, hopefully, week 5 will probably be one of the best games this season
Yeah.
of
And for
Buffalo
those who
going
don't
into Kansas
know,
City.
we will our most look forward to games we will go over in our episode prior to that week.
Yeah, we
So
have an episode that comes out 2 days before week 1 begins. In that episode, we'll go over a lot of projections, what to look forward to, a lot of stuff talking about the season. That episode may be a little bit longer than an hour, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But
month and a half out.
we will jump to.
Speaking of which, we're like 2 months away from football.
Yeah, we're like 50 days or something, 51 days, something like that.
Bring it on.
But Miami, good old Miami Dolphins.
So I'm just gonna go and ask you. You just keep on saying Miami's on the up and up.
Yeah.
Do you have that much faith in Tua?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. That's that much faith is that's a really broad term to say. I think
Okay.
Tua is on the way toward being sort of like a Michael Vick-esque, where he just can put up a bunch of points. It's just going to be like the NFL just has a rough time with running quarterbacks being successful long term.
Agreed.
So that is the biggest question mark for Tua, to me, is his consistency and his longevity. Those are the biggest question marks. I think he has the skill. I think the talent, the NFL smarts. I think it's all there. It's just a matter of making it last.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it is to me with Tua. I think he's there. He just needs to stay there.
Yeah. I definitely see him being more or closer to his total yards being very 50-50 passing rushing. 60-40 passing rushing.
What did he do last season? So
Not amazing.
He didn't play all the games. He only played 10.
No.
But he had 1,800 passing, 100 rushing.
I feel like they will allow him to stretch his legs, no pun intended, a little bit more as he gets more comfortable in the league, assuming they can teach him the proper way not to get a concussion after week 1.
Okay, fair. That is, again, this is the downside to running backs who are running-esque. They just seem to get injured, right? It doesn't matter if they get injured while running or not while running. Their bodies just take a toll because they're getting hit outside of the pocket in places that quarterbacks usually don't get hit. And it ends up leading to some injury that, if it was just like another play, they wouldn't get injured on. But just because their bodies get hit so often.
That's my biggest worry with Tua. Again, he is an Alabama quarterback, so same discussion we had a minute ago. But that is my biggest worry with Tua. Is that he is going to think run first, see a hole, go for it, and somebody's going to be there. Aaron Donald's going to rip him down, and he's going to have 1.5 legs.
I mean, I don't disagree with you.
That's my only worry, and that if that happens, they're going to have Jacoby Brissett or Reed Sennett come in.
No idea who Reed Sennett is. Yeah.
Rookie out of San Diego.
Got it.
So, yeah. or Jacoby Brissett, who has had some success, I believe, with the Colts.
Yeah, a little bit with
Prior
the
to,
Colts.
yeah. Um, so I that's my only problem with the Dolphins. If he can be successful running, yeah, by all means, I could see them going 500 this year, give or take, because there's an uneven amount of games now.
I see them.
That's gonna be weird.
Yeah,
Wow. Anyway,
I honestly can see them taking a quick glance at their schedule. I can see them winning 10. They won 10 last season, right? They missed out on the playoffs because, like I said earlier, 10 wins, you have a good chance, high probability, right, of making the playoffs.
yeah,
Unless there are 3 11-5 teams, then you just get screwed because of that.
yeah. Where
Um,
one of those 11-5 teams didn't win their division.
I mean, 2 of them didn't. It was
Yeah.
last season was, I mean, all 3 of them. Hold on, I'm checking the standings. Standings. Da, da, da,
Was that last
da.
season that happened?
Yes. 3 of them were not division winners. The Colts, the Browns, and the Ravens all went 11-5 and did not win their division
Right. So
because their
yeah,
division winners went 11-5 or 12-4 as the Steelers went, even though they. Anyways,
yeah, lost 5 straight in the season.
I see the Dolphins going 10-7, 11-6.
Yeah, I could agree with that. 10 wins, give or take 2,
I would
1 or
say
2,
9 to
12
I was gonna say 12
on the
is
high end.
that's where I was gonna put them. 9 to 12, I think, is the range that I see the Dolphins ending. I think they get at least 9. It's just they're gonna have to win some of those 50-50 games or the 40-60 games.
Yes,
Is a
I
good way
agree.
to put it, or 45-55, however you
They're gonna have to
stat people.
find some wins.
Yeah, like they need to win. Like looking at they need to win like both the Jets games, Carolina, the Giants, New Orleans, Jacksonville. Like
Yeah,
they need to win those games. Then they like
win the ones that they should win.
Indy, I would say that's 50-50. Maybe in their court 55-45. Like they have to win that one.
Hmm.
Like they should beat Houston. Baltimore, I don't believe in Baltimore. So I think that one is a 50-50. They should win that one. But like games like Tennessee or Buffalo that are like 40-60 or 45-55, they need to win one of those, I would say.
One out of those 3 or 4.
Yeah, they need to win one of them to put themselves into a good spot
Yes.
to make the playoffs. Because if they
And
lose all the games that they shouldn't win, they won't make playoffs.
if they do manage to snag a game from Buffalo, that could possibly be a tiebreaker.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it could come down. Say the Dolphins have a killer season, and they end up tying with the Bills. And if they would
Say
have
they
lost that other game, they wouldn't have. There's
Yeah. Say
so many
they end up at
implications.
11-6. Buffalo ends up at 11-6.
And the tiebreaker wouldn't be head to head because they would have gone 1-1, which
No.
saves a lot of problems.
Yes.
I don't know. I
So
think
they'll get in on not a technicality, but I don't even know what the next one is. Common opponent
I think it is
or point
division.
differential?
It
Division
goes
record.
division.
You're right. It is division record. Duh.
Um,
If they split, I imagine both of them would end up going
5-1.
5-1, 4-2.
Yep. If they split and the teams are tied in record, their division record should be the same.
That makes sense. Should be.
Should be. Obviously,
Yeah.
they could go 1-5 in the division and still tie. Like they could, whatever.
Yeah.
But they should
Be
be
like
the
the
same.
Falcons go 6-11 in a season, or 6-10 in a season, and go 6-0 in the division.
That is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. That's why you can't write off division games. That is the
They
dumbest
went
thing
like
I've heard.
5-1 or 6-0 in the division and ended up with 6 wins.
Ugh,
It was
that hurts.
disgusting.
That hurts my soul.
Yeah, welcome to Atlanta sports.
But yeah, I think 9-12, right? Like a lot of these teams,
That's a good spot.
like the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Patriots, their off seasons weren't, to me at least, weren't anything crazy to really like talk about so much. I mean, like the Jalen Waddle pickup for Tua might be one of the smartest things that teams just started doing apparently in this last draft. With like Lamar Chase going to Cincinnati, then Jalen Waddle reconnecting. So that's definitely a help. And then Will Fuller is a good start as well because but he is suspended for I think 4 games,
I think it's 6, 4.
or is it one of those weird ones where it's like 5?
I was thinking 6. Hold on. Where news?
Oh, it's just week 1 because he
Oh,
finished last season's 5 weeks. That's where the
there
5
you
came
go.
from. I was like, there's something
Okay.
about a 5 in his
Okay,
suspension.
so he's out 1 week. That's not horrible.
Yeah, so I mean, I think this Dolphins team could put up. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if the Dolphins put up in 1 game into the 50s.
Into the 50s?
Yeah, Eddie. Oh God.
If they okay, who are they doing that against?
I mean, it's someone like
Houston,
dude,
Jacksonville.
that Houston team.
They're in shambles. Again, we'll get to them in a later week, but
That's a mess. We'll just say that.
I feel like we've been questioning Houston for like
Well,
the end of last season.
we're not going to dive into it, but before the Deshaun Watson stuff went public, I was confident in that team. But then when their quarterback probably won't play and you don't know who will play after that.
Yeah, it's hard to be a team in the NFL with a question mark at quarterback. And not like a question mark like New England's situation where you have, okay, it's going to be you or you. I don't know if they have somebody that they're confident putting in there.
I think they
But
have
again, we'll get to that
I
later.
think they have Tyrod Taylor, who is serviceable, but still I don't know. That's
Serviceable.
it's a
That's a
mess.
good word.
It's a mess. It's a mess. So, but I think 9 to
So,
12.
yeah. So, with all that being said, who's winning the division?
I I see this division ending the exact same way in terms of placement that it ended last season. Bills, Dolphins,
Okay.
Patriots, Jets.
You just answered my next 3 questions.
Yep, you're welcome. I knew exactly where you were going to go,
Yeah.
and I knew I could answer all of them with one answer.
Yeah. The records obviously won't be the same, not because of the 17. We'll say wins won't be exactly the same.
Yeah.
Um, if it ended up being that way, that'd be really interesting. I wonder if that's ever happened before. I'm sure it has.
What the
NFL's been
division,
around a while.
like, if it
Mirroring
was
itself.
possibly, that's possibly been a thing. That'd be a weird fact to find. Eddie's going to do some research tonight.
Yeah, I am.
But I don't know. I just see it going Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets.
Yeah.
With Bills winning the
I
division,
agree.
obviously making the playoffs, and the Dolphins,
Hopefully wild card.
I'm going to give them a 55% chance to make the playoffs.
That's fair.
And the Patriots and Jets have like a 5% chance. They have to figure it out
That's generous.
Real quick. They got to figure it out real quick.
Yeah.
I give them 5% because I believe that anything can happen in the NFL.
Yeah, it's not impossible.
But I don't like giving people like it's a 1% chance. And I'm like, no, seriously. Like, come on.
We've seen enough teams under 500 make playoffs in recent years to count them out. Unfortunately
No
for
team
the Jets and the Patriots, they're not going to do it by wild card.
No team has ever made the playoffs under 500. I swear to God. I don't want to talk about last year.
I was thinking about the Panthers doing it back-to-back years, but
I was thinking about last year and how it was a very
I never
painful year to watch, and I just want to cry.
yeah, I won't
Anyways,
bring it up.
Yeah, I think. Do you disagree? Do you have a different division order?
Not at all. I wish I could say something or play devil's advocate, but I can't even. The only thing that I could see changing is if the Bills don't live up to expectations and the Dolphins are on that higher end of what we said, 12 wins.
Yep.
but that would need a lot of things to happen for it to fall that way.
I see Bills. I'll put it this way: Bills Dolphins are 1-2 in any order. Most likely Bills then Dolphins, and Patriots Jets are 3-4. Most likely Patriots then Jets.
Yes, that is a better way to put it.
3 and
And I
4
think
can be either. I think it is more likely that the Jets jump to 3 and the Patriots fall to 4 than it is the Dolphins jump to 2 and the Bills fall to 2. Or the
that's
Dolphins jump to 1. You guys know what I'm trying to say.
yes.
You guys get it.
Do you think Patriots and Jets both are under 500?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't see either of those teams winning 9 games.
I guess I'm kind of glad. Not that we definitely didn't plan it out to be this way because we've missed a couple weeks.
My bad. What?
Um, our bad. Um, but I think the AFC might be the most boring division in terms of changing where they finished between last year and where we think they're going to finish this year.
The whole AFC? Or just this division?
This division, AFC East specifically,
Yes.
because
I'm
I'm
looking
just thinking off
back.
the top of my head,
Yes. It is the most
it might actually
boring.
be the most boring one.
Yup. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because I
Yes.
know
Yes.
I'm just thinking NFC East
I looked at the
is
NFC
going to
East
be
and I
a
immediately
way
said
more
yes.
interesting. It's going to be way. There's no telling.
Dallas to the top, baby.
NFC South. Drew
It's
Brees
our
is no longer
year.
there.
I
Bucks are
know.
still there though.
Yeah, like just gonna run through them. Like I don't see the Rams possibly getting the second seed. The Saints don't get the first spot in that division. I don't think the Packers get the first spot. Washington's not getting first. The Raiders I don't think get 2. I think it's the Chargers. The Texans I don't think are 3. I think they drop to 4. The Steelers definitely do not get number 1. So
No.
every other division I think there's gonna be movement. This one I think is, if I had to put money on any division to stay as is, it is the AFC East. That is the one I would put my money on to
I'd
say
agree.
to stay the same in terms of placement that they had last season.
Totally not planned, but I'm glad it worked out that way. Actually,
Cool. Now we can have a more interesting discussion starting next week. Oh, but that is going to do it, friends. We are at a little over the hour mark, probably like a minute over the hour mark.
right at the hour. Yeah.
But we're going to start a new segment at the end of every episode. Eddie did some digging yesterday, quite a lot of digging.
Rabbit hole. Gotta love it.
And
I don't know what we're gonna call this, but
we're just going to call it this temporarily. Welcome to Eddie's Fun Fact. I want to get like a sound bite to play.
a little chime or something.
Yeah, I want to ask someone to make that for me. Go
All
ahead,
right.
Eddie.
The way that hopefully we want this to work is I'm gonna have a number. It's gonna be any kind of number.
Am I going to
I
guess?
will ask Justin.
Oh,
Yes.
no.
Same the way. Well, pretty much what we talked about.
Mm.
You'll figure it out eventually. I mean, I don't know. These are actually kind of all over the place.
These are riddles. I don't like riddles. Go ahead.
It's kind of sort of a riddle, but okay. So for the first one, for today's fun fact, your number is 1742. 1742. Any idea?
That is the amount of kick return yards that someone got in one season.
That would be hella impressive.
I was like, it's not a year because 1742 is. I mean, it is a year. Let me phrase that.
Predates the NFL.
It is a year, guys. 1742 does exist.
Sorry, it predates it predates football as a whole.
Okay, so it has. Does it have to do with yardage?
No,
What?
this is off field.
Off field?
Yes. So if you look in the Google Doc there, you can go ahead and blow it up. There's a link there that I want you to look at because there's some stuff I want you to look at on this. But 1742 is the name or is the number of entries that the Seahawks got whenever they created their franchise. Before they were named the Seahawks, they got that many entries as recommendations to you should name the Seattle franchise this. Of those 1,742 entries, only about 130 of them were rational, or 153 were rational entries. They got a lot of names like Dave and Frank.
The Seattle Dave.
Exactly. Obviously, they settled on the Seahawks. Uh, sorry, it was 1741. That is my fault.
It's fine. 153 people said the Seahawks. I'm sad they didn't pick. Well, I'm scrolling through. There's a lot of names here,
So
guys.
what the link is, it's an A to Z of all of some of the best names that were actually submitted. Some names like the Aardvarks, the Abominable Snowmen. Yeah, Justin just put it in chat.
Yeah, for those
The
who
Bigfoots.
forgot, we are live on Twitch for all of our episodes. Twitch.tv/meme streams 32 teams. So if you're in the chat, I did throw it in there for you.
Yeah, but I just wanted to look through here and see
The
which ones pop out to you.
the Sawdust Eaters. Why was that suggested? Who? Why? The Washington Georges. Why?
There's so many good ones in here.
No, the
A
Seattle
personal favorite of
Yogas.
mine,
Do that one.
the Seattle Diarrheas.
No, you're lying. That wasn't suggested. Oh my. Oh.
The Zonkers. Yeah,
Why?
there's so many good
The
ones in
Bronze
here.
Bobcats. What is this? Legends of the Hidden Temple?
Oh my god. The reindeers, not like Santa's reindeers, spelled RAIN hyphen DEARS. Because it rains a lot in Seattle. Get
Oh
it?
my gosh.
Along with the rain birds, the rainy ramblers, the raining suns, the rain gods, the rain beams, the
The
rainbow
Rainbow.
spelled
Oh,
BEAUX.
I like that one.
I do kind
Do
of like
that
that one, but
one.
that is definitely a Louisiana LSU kind of thing. I don't think Seattle can pull that one off.
Who suggested? I mean, someone suggested the Sonics, which then became the basketball team later on.
Which
So I
was the Supersonics. Yep.
mean, good for them for suggesting something. Seattle Sounders, that ended up being the soccer team. So like,
Yep.
people did a good job
They
of.
probably pulled it from this list.
Someone say the Krakens? Nope, not the hockey team.
But yeah,
That's
vampires, woodpeckers, the nutcrackers,
Zonkers, Zodiacs, Wampums.
geoducks, fruit pickers,
Ev-
ferrets, ding dongs, drizzlers. I'm just naming candies at this point.
I'm sad they weren't named the Seattle Vampires.
I saw that yesterday or the day before, whenever I was looking at all these, and that was the one that I think would be in second place.
They should have been named the Vampires and only requested night games. Dude, the marketing.
The marketing.
I'm a
Yeah,
genius.
they would have to fight Jerry Jones on that.
I mean, we'll just play him 7 times a season.
But yeah, so there's your fun fact. Whenever the Seahawks became a team, they had over 1,700 entries into we should name the Seattle franchise this. And there's some names.
I don't like
Yeah,
it.
so every week I've got a list of about 20 or so that I'm gonna keep on, not necessarily quizzing you on, but sharing with the class.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Do you want a theme? Oh, I got it. Oh, that's gonna take some more thinking.
What?
I was gonna say, do you want like a hint for next week's, so you have something going into it? But I don't know how to do that right
Can-
now without actually looking.
Can I get a hint when we'll do it this way? You'll tell me the number. I will guess. If my guess is incorrect, you give me a hint, and we'll guess again. If it's wrong, then you tell me.
Okay.
Perfect.
It's gonna take me a minute to come up with a hint.
You have
so
time.
Please get it on the first try.
Yeah. We'll make up a hint before the episode so that you remember.
Okay, we'll see.
All right, friends. But that will do it for this episode. Remember, this is episode 34. And like I said, we are live on Twitch for every episode moving forward at twitch.tv/meme streams 32 teams. You can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Just search meme streams 32 teams, as well as on Twitter. Just search at memes 32 teams. I wish our @ on Twitter was at meme streams 32 teams, but it's too long for Twitter, so it can't fit. So we had to improvise. But
Sorry,
friends,
it gets the point across.
yeah. But friends, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us on the Twitch chat, listening on any of the platforms, watching us on YouTube, etc. We will see you guys next week with another division that I do not know off the top of my head.
AFC South.
We will do AFC South. There you go. Next week will be the AFC South. And so on and so forth. There will be a week coming up that will have 2 episodes because we're trying to cram everything in before the beginning of the season. But we will let you guys know when that is going to go live. And yeah, we will see you guys next Tuesday on, let me get the exact date, July 27th. We will be talking about the AFC South. All right.
7 days from now.
7 days. We appreciate you guys. Love you guys. We'll see you guys next week. And peace.
Thanks for hanging out, y'all.